Buses, your local bus company serving your football team. Buses run every 10 minutes. Avoid the traffic. Don't get stuck in the delay. Get Ipswich Buses today. A single from only £1.20, a return from only £2. Find out more information at www.ipswichbuses.co.uk. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Monday night Talking Town Extra Time, the show that, as always, puts you firmly in control, gives you the chance to set the narrative and come on and have your say on your platform to discuss your football team. And it's been, not an exciting weekend for the men's game, shall we say? In fact, the start of this show is called "Will a Striker Please Step Forward?" But it has been a very exciting time for our female football team, who yesterday made history with their FA Cup win. Colin was there, as you can see in the chat. He says these penalties were first class. Their keeper never had a chance with any of them. Brilliant, ladies. I want to go ahead and bring in Amy Downs to just join me. I want to just recap this, really, because yesterday's show, the Talking Town podcast on the Sunday, finishes before full time, so we couldn't properly give it the justice and due that it was deserved. But Amy, our women are setting records here. They are through to the FA Cup semi with the tie or the draw being done 9:15 on BBC One. This is exciting time, particularly with the Her Game 2 partnership just also recently happened as well.
Absolutely. It feels like they've just been on the rise, doesn't it, for the last couple of years? I mean, getting better and better and better. And yesterday was that Sheehan had said it was an example of, it was a reward for all their hard work, and it was an example of how much they've been building and trying. And it, like, I think he put it perfectly, is that it was a reward. You know, they put so much into this, and it's their heart and soul. They're not paid for this. They're not, not on the level that the men are, and they do it because they love it and they love the game. And you could see it in the passion from when they went through, and the shootout yesterday. There's that brilliant video which starts from behind the goal and comes around to see them celebrating, and you can't help but get goosebumps to see it. It's fabulous. And these girls in this team are starting to become sort of almost household names among Ipswich fans. These are names that we're starting to recognise and know really well now. And every single one of them, but they're like Natasha Thomas and things like that. Straight away, as soon as I see her on my timeline, I'm like, oh, she's amazing. And I just think it's incredible that there are, I didn't have this when I was growing up. There were people like Casey Stoney and a few other amazing, like, bigger Premier League players, but not Ipswich. Like, the Ipswich women's team was very, very separate to my club. So to see the two so closely connected, and I know people that I saw at Morecambe on Saturday were going down to go and watch this game yesterday, which is just bonkers support, and we can see that that's getting bigger and better as well. So huge kudos to the people who do go week in, week out to support the women, because we know that that's makes a huge difference for them, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And this could only lead to more people perhaps going week in, week out to support the ladies. I know we've had a number of them on this platform. We've led the way with that, and Robert Grimsley says we should get the town girls on for a special, and here's hope ITFC let the girls play a possible home tie at Portman Road. That itself is something that our very own Cruncher asked at the very first fans forum. He used one of those valuable questions to ask, can we get a women's game at Portman Road? Mark Ashton replied yes, but when the pitch has been changed. Whether that changes now, Amy, with this, yesterday a record crowd of over 1,000 people watched them triumph against their league rivals Southampton. And you mentioned some names there, Natasha Thomas being a prominent leading figure of that women's team. But yesterday it was a new chapter for new heroes to also introduce themselves. The goalkeeper, a tremendous save. We got a fantastic video on social media that I think his name is Regan from memory took.
That's right, yeah.
Just a tremendous save. The keeper on that last penalty, it's right by her leg. She's got to move her feet and get down. Tremendous save. But then obviously the two penalty takers didn't play the game. One had a wrist injury, so couldn't do contact. Brought on, and their only kick was to score the penalty. That's like
how
that's
amazing.
next level.
And they're so young as well. They're like 17, I think. I was just like, my God, can you imagine all that pressure at that age? But this is what they're growing up with. Do you know what I mean? They're being brought up with this success. They're getting to be a part of it, which is incredible. And you know, when you think about 17-year-old Ipswich fans, we haven't seen a lot of success for the men's team, have we? So it's definitely not that I'm 17. I'm well past that one, but it's just such an amazing moment for them. I'm so excited for the younger ones in the team as well, and coming through. And like you've said, the next generation. It's incredible. It's really nice to see it. And you know, the thought of who they could end up playing. In the draw tomorrow morning, I'll definitely be tuning in to find out who they get, because that's going to be just phenomenal to see who they get.
I think a lot of people will be, you know, and you can really sense that excitement flow from yesterday's result among the fan base. In fact, you know, as we start tonight's show, the first thing they're talking about in the chat isn't necessarily about Macaulay Bonne 1 goal in 19 or whatever. It's this.
Girls.
And it's that growing level of excitement that I think they'll smash. Yeah. And I hope and pray they get the home tie, because I think they will smash that record again.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a real chance to build on that. I just really love what Joe said after the game, and I don't know if you've managed to read it or hear it, but I heard it on the radio today, and it was just so authentic and so genuine. And I'll read it out, but the words don't quite do the authentic and the genuine reaction justice. But it was, I can't believe it, incredible. I'm still coming to terms with whatever we've just watched for however long. And he said it was such that authentic way of, you can see this person is just clearly just like
completely mind
like
blown, wasn't he?
Blown. Just what?
Yeah.
Heck have I just seen?
And isn't that wonderful to see as well, as the passion that obviously is where the girls get it from. And he's made such a difference as a coach. I love listening to him, his interviews on here and other places that I've seen. He's just so, like, he clearly knows what he's doing, because look at how well they've come on under him. And I did like reading about how he made the substitutions like a couple of minutes before the end, so that he had his penalty takers there, and just sort of little things like that. You think, yeah, he knows that team, they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, I know it's the boss's job, but I think very highly of him. I think he comes across very, very well.
Yeah, and he did in that interview on the radio, you know, that he said that we're well prepared. We've worked on it for weeks, and I knew who the takers were. And it was just about, you know, getting them on to the pitch to you know, obviously you got every plan is good until the execution stage, but this time, you know, it's been executed to perfection, and just congratulations to them. And obviously, I know we've dragged you off the sofa on a Monday night, so before I let you get back to whatever DVD box set and the glass of wine or whatever. Obviously, with the Her Game 2 partnership fresh off the press and still in our memories or our minds, this is just another great building block, isn't it? And what can this mean for the generation of women watching and growing up? This is new history, new land, I suppose.
It can only serve to help, can't it? The young girls that are coming to watch the game now, they have the opportunity to watch older women and and see it as an option that maybe they could play, or maybe they could be involved with football in some way when they're older. And these girls, it's just so exciting. And you see the Her Game 2 hoodies at most games now, which is really exciting. And I do think the way we as a club are embracing the female team. Look, it was, I reckon, not even 5 years ago that I was having conversations with people on Twitter who was still saying the women's game was crap, and they just wouldn't hear anything else said about it. But the Ipswich team is managing to turn people's minds around on that so much, because it used to be, you had your Arsenals, you had your Chelseas, you had Donny Bells for a long period of time as well, who were just phenomenal. And if you were outside that Super League, if you're outside that sort of top six, you weren't. There was a huge gap in quality, but clubs like us are coming through. The other team outside the Super League that have got through is Coventry. So these teams are growing, and this is what we always knew they would. They just needed support financially, like from the fans as well. They just needed it to become an option for girls to be able to get involved with this. And now, with them doing so well, it's going to become even more an option for more girls to get involved as they grow up. So Harry actually asked me on, it was Friday night, I was telling her I was going to the football on Saturday, and he said, "Mummy, can I come with you?" And I was like, "Actually, do you know what? I might see if I can take you to a women's game, especially if they end up playing up here anytime soon." Because that was his first Ipswich game, was when we played at Huddersfield. So I would love to take him again.
So Arsenal women beat Liverpool women 4-0. Man City women beat Manchester United women 4-1. So you got Arsenal, Man City, Everton, Birmingham, West Ham, and Coventry still in the draw. So any one of those at home will, I think, see a record attendance.
Incredible.
But imagine one of the more traditional larger teams.
Yeah.
It's going to be so exciting
and phenomenal for the girls as well to be playing against the best in their sport. Essentially, that'll be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely right, Amy. Get back to that DVD box set. Thank you for helping me give that justice, because it needs to be said, and it's a really exciting time for the women's side of the game. I can't wait to see who they get, and we'll try and do something, as Robert Grimsey suggested, special on the platform. But thank you, Amy.
Amazing. It's definitely been more exciting seeing their result than the 1-1 draw at Morecambe.
Well, that is true. You were there, actually. So before I do let you go, give me your thoughts before I get the lads in to give me their thoughts. What do you think, sitting here now on the Monday, having been there and whatnot?
I think the team that we are starting to develop into now is going to be phenomenal next year. We talked quite a lot about how one of my friends said it, actually. I think he put it perfectly. Neither you nor I are particular fans of Cook, but maybe what we needed from him was to get these players in. What he then couldn't do was get them playing together, and I thought they were fantastic. I thought we looked, same as against Donny, it looked almost like a training game because we were that dominant. The problem was, of course, she thought I was loud. Yes, I very much enjoyed. I had Stephen Parry, Kevin Gates, and Lee, and there was a lovely little group of us, and Ant Steele and Ben King at the front, banging on the advertising boards, joining in with Nathan Paris on the drum. We had a lot of fun.
There was a trumpet player.
Was there?
Why is it nobody? Yeah, I'm sure there's a trumpet player there.
I remember the drum. I definitely remember the drum. But obviously, because Nathan's there most games. But yeah, I thought it was, we dominated, and we showed that we are on the way to being a decent team, more than a decent team. I don't even need to say it though, do I? If you can't find the back of the net, then nothing's going to come of it. I thought Wes Burns was phenomenal. I thought Caden Jackson was fabulous when he came on. Felt awful for him not scoring. Unfortunately, Norwood and Bond just weren't up to it. And unfortunately that isn't the first time. But having said that, if you'd asked me a week ago who I would play, I probably would have picked those two. I think a team like Morecambe, you needed to be a bit more physical, and those two are much better at that. So yeah, personally, I would have picked those two anyway. But also,
many people were on the Saturday morning predicting that Norwood certainly would be playing, so that didn't surprise many. Bon, Paul run a form, isn't it?
Yeah, I was talking to Curtis about this the other day, and I was just saying, like, for me, form is temporary, class is permanent, and I think what he showed us at the beginning of the season, it's worth keep going, certainly not giving up on him until the end of the season. I personally would still buy him, but because I think that he showed what he's capable of. And I do think, I know people say it's about sentimentality, but I do think the fact that he is a fan of the club, that can only be a plus side. So for me, I think it's hard seeing people turning on him, and I think we as a fan base seem to need a scapegoat, and he is the one at the minute. But you can't really blame people for being frustrated with him because there's no goals coming, is there?
No, you're right.
So
apparently the trumpet was in the home end. Even better, because the trumpet was doing the Selena. Then we said Selena. Right, Amy, I love you. Look after yourself. You're going to buy Bond. I'm going to pose that question to the boys in a second. Would they follow Amy's lead and buy Macaulay Bond? That's a good talking point to start the show. Amy, thank you so much for your help this evening.
No problem. Lovely to chat. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, look after yourself. Right, we got Bond. Reminds me of another B word, says Alan Blamplate. Laser ball number 7. Thanks very much, Stephen Parry. Wilson Simpson, not sure if he's going to get a chance. We'll get to probably Simpson this evening. Another couple of goals in the under 23s today. Not quickly, but Prediction League week 27 is now open for new predictions are on the board. Fleetwood versus Ipswich, Colchester versus Port Vale, Cambridge versus Shrewsbury, and Norwich versus Brentford. Hopefully Norwich lose that one. That's a huge game for them, particularly seeing as Brentford are a little bit of free for themselves. Link will be coming into the chat very, very soon. This week's Prediction League looks like this. Following last week, Cheetah McCheaterson, Mr. Matt Phillips is now into the top page 1. He's doing really well. Mike Woods still leads the way. In fact, Mike Woods actually extended his lead. So congratulations to Mike Woods there. Ian Barron, hi guys, it's the Mad Darlow fan back. Hope you're well. Hope you're well, Ian. Welcome back, Stephen Parrott. There's a player in there. It would be cheap to get a good sub option. Right, let's have a quick discussion with one of our partners. Another side, George and Tux will both be on the screen. Hello, you lovely lot. I am here very quickly to discuss Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection, run by Ipswich Town fan Graham. So you know you're in good hands if you go with Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection. I want to discuss the income protection service they do with you. You all know me and you all know my story. Literally one day I went out into that big wide world, the scary world, and I had an injury which left me disabled and unable to work. Just like that, I lost my income. Just like that. That's a click there. Crazy. This may have been an answer to a prayer, because obviously when you can't work, you can't earn. And when you can't earn, your bills are still going to be there wanting to be paid, like children needing to be fed. This could have been an answer to my prayer and taken some stress away from me and let me focus on my mental and physical health. Income protection insurance, it's not for everybody, but it might be for you. So give Graham a call on 01636 337 447 or email graham@woodpeckermortgages.co.uk. And I must say, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage. You know it makes sense, you lovely people. And it's not just income protection that they do. They do home insurance, remortgages, mortgages, all of the range that you would expect from a mortgage and income protection expert. Obviously, with the inflation rate raging, try and save yourself a bit of money at the very least. Go and see a town fan. He'll help you out if you can. And you might even save a little bit of the dough, which you can put towards becoming a YouTube member like I've just noticed Craig at Portsmouth has just done. Look at that. Craig is leading the way. Craig's winning at life. Do what Craig does. That's what I suggest you do this evening. Do whatever Craig at Portsmouth does, and that's become a YouTube member. Tux, George, the legends they are. Look at them. Beautiful, beautiful people.
Gents.
Welcome.
Right.
How are we?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm looking at the Chicago Bulls cap, and I'm thinking Michael Jordan, greatest ever sportsman ever. Ever.
Okay.
What do you think on that one? Because that one raised a few eyebrows.
I'm not really sure I agree. I think probably Finidi George is probably the best I've ever seen.
Where do I go from there? George, Finidi George.
He's got you there.
He's done me like a clipper. He's done me like a fucking clipper. I wasn't expecting that.
I was talking about basketball there, by the way, not football.
I think you're saying like LeBron or Tiger Woods is one name I've heard. Not Finidi George. I have to be honest. So how are we then, fellas? Obviously the weekend we drew. We can't buy a goal. We need a striker. Amy set the gauntlet. should still buy Bond. Would either of you still buy Bond? George, would you buy Bond?
It depends who else is available.
Depends on who else is available.
Yeah.
Are you going to get better than Macaulay Bonne
I wouldn't jump into buying Macaulay Bonne on July 1st or June 1st or whenever it is that the transfer window opens. I'm not against the idea, but I think he needs to score a few more goals over the remainder of the season. I've got absolutely nothing against Macaulay Bonne. I think he's great. I think he's a good asset for the club. He's obviously got talent because he scored a load of goals at the beginning of the season, but he's off the boil slightly, isn't he? So I wouldn't be rushing to make him my prime striking target. I don't think
you wouldn't be rushing. But I come back with that, Tux, and I say, are you going to be able to get anybody better in League One than somebody such as Macaulay Bonne? Was it an anomaly at the start of the season, or is it a case of, as Amy said, form is temporary, class is permanent?
I do agree with what Amy's saying, but also it does depend what league we are in, and who says that we might not be in League One.
Well, this is it, and we can come on to that.
I don't think we should be making any kind of decisions on who we are taking into next season until we kind of know what league we're in, two, what they want to do. So, you know, I think, okay, if we are in League One next season, would Bond want to come here?
Well, let me tell you this right now. According to the website, which I'm going to be using this evening, called sportsclubstats.com, we have a 4% chance of finishing 6th and a 1.5% chance of promotion. Does that help to answer that question there? What league we're going to be in? 4% chance. It's not 0%. But if I told you got 4% chance of winning the lottery, but a ticket was £100, would you be rushing out to buy that lottery ticket, Mr. Tuxford?
Yeah, I would. I'd go out and buy a lottery ticket. Leicester fans did that when they did the when they won the Premier League. Got to think positive, haven't you?
You got to think. Yeah,
I ripped up my sign, my positivity sign, and now I've stuck it back together. I can't find it at the moment, but I've stuck it back together. And
it's hidden under the realism banner that hopefully George is about to lay on the desk, because George, come on, 4%, 1.5% of promotion. I want to be optimistic as much as anybody else, but there's optimistic, then there's just ignoring the fact that there's still a 96% chance there's no chance.
Well, look, we've said since McKenna came in that 2 points a game is kind of what he needed to get to a normal points total to get to into the playoffs. That's not beyond the realms of possibility still, and there's probably more than a 4% chance of that. I reckon I'd say we've got a higher than 4% chance of scraping into the playoffs. That seems pretty stingy to me. I'd like to know how they figured that out. But I reckon we've still got a decent outside shot at scraping into the top 6.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I've asked you both to do your Tux. We did your 20. It was 20, I think, at the time. Game prediction. We're now halfway through that, so we'll come to that in a bit to see how you've got on and what is left to come from your points that you felt we could get. I asked you today in the WhatsApp group, do you want to change any of the score predictions? And you were like, nah, we'll leave it as it is. George, I've got yours as well. We'll see what those points work out as and what the percentage chance changes, if it does change at all. But yes, I can see where you're coming from with that. Yeah. Why not?
I think we said last time I was on, it's really been the teams around us, the teams above us, that just haven't given. Only a couple of teams have really seemed to have sort of slipped a little bit. And we just haven't made the ground that I think in other seasons we might have made, given our form over the last dozen games or so.
Yeah. I mean, we'll know a bit more tomorrow, obviously, with a few teams playing their games in hand. That will tell us, obviously, a lot more in terms of, because I do think a little bit, George, that it's a false level of, we're only so and so away, because those games in hand, if they win, it changes the perception, I feel.
Yeah, but they haven't got the points until they've got them. So
you two tonight, giving me you're like Macaulay Bonne and James Nord up front on Saturday, giving me absolutely fucking nothing. Absolutely, I'm having to do a Sonny Aluko and work twice as hard to create as many opportunities. Look at that! I'm just getting some football puns in. Right. Before we go any further, this is a football club made for the Championship or Premier League, certainly Premier League, because Tux, 24,000 seats sold for the Lincoln rematch. That is incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible, yes. Do we get points on our season ticket, though? That's what I'd like to know.
We do. And I'm
Beautiful.
just thinking...
Even better then, isn't it?
It is. I'm just thinking if they already know how many they've sold, why couldn't they give me the points?
Well,
when
exactly.
They give me the last round of points?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's quite poor. I've said it before on this channel. I think it's poor. It's shit. But there we go.
Absolutely. Gov living on scraps, says Mike. I am. So become a YouTube member. You are technically already a YouTube member, Mike said. Not yourself, but other people. My Pompey mate thinks they can still sneak it, says Craig at Portsmouth, George.
Well, if they can, we bloody can.
Well, yeah, because they're behind us. No, you got no chance there. They've got more chance of seeing Tyree Simpson up front for Town between now and the end of the season, I reckon, than seeing Portsmouth inside that top six.
Do you think it's that unlikely?
Well, you tell me, because Tyree Simpson again on the score sheet today. He scored twice as Town stayed top of their division. Are you one of the fans calling for him to get a shot, maybe off the bench, maybe a start? Or are you another fan, maybe not myself, that says you've got Joe Pigott, James Nord, Macaulay Bonne, and Caden Jackson? You'd be silly to put him ahead of them. They've already got the stats and the records in the game to say they can score goals at this level.
Where's Joe Pigott's stats from this season that says he can score goals?
25 goals last season. Form is temporary, class is permanent, says Amy Downs.
Yeah, but all right, then I'm going to flip that on you. Have you seen the rest of Joe Pigott's season stats?
I have.
Okay.
I have. Purple patch comes to mind.
2 10+ seasons, including last year, maybe 3. So...
all right, fine. All right. Look, I'll give you Joe.
I think Simpson deserves a shot on the bench. And given our goal scoring form at the moment, why not now?
Why not now, Tux? That's a fair point.
Well, I don't think you can ignore that, can you? You can't ignore someone who's scoring goals or who has scored goals, albeit in League Two, but is still scoring goals, albeit again at reserve level. But you know, you've got to play to get those goals at the end of the day. And you know, for me, he has to be on the bench. I think he'll play certainly for me between now and the end of the season. I don't get it. I don't get how you can't have Tyree Simpson in the team who offers a bit of strength, who's quite quick, who offers pretty much everything that you kind of want from a striker. Yet he's putting someone like Pigott and Bonne on the bench that aren't really adding a lot, you could say. So
fair point.
That's my opinion.
Right. That's okay. So you're both wanting to give Simpson a go, which is absolutely fine. Many fans are. Harry Butcher's one of them here. Just give him a go. What is there to lose?
Yeah.
Stephen Parry, if he doesn't sign a contract, why should he? Could be opportunity for him to prove that he's got a pathway into the first team. I don't know. Lee, if we put him in and does nothing, then he will end up back in the reserves. But I guess in your world then, George, if you put him in and does nothing, you at least know, and there's no regrets there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but nothing is no less than the rest of us are given. The rest of them are given us at the moment. So just chuck him in. This contract stuff is, he's young, he's being guided. We can't, we're talking about making the playoffs or not. We're not going to make the playoffs unless we start scoring goals. We really want to argue over one kid who's having a bit of a Johnny Big Balls moment about having a contract. Like, leave that to one side. Put him on the pitch.
We've not handled this well.
Himself.
The club have not handled this well at all for me. I don't understand why he couldn't sign or at least discuss a contract while he was out on loan at Swindon. It's poor for me. If I was Simpson, I'd be sitting there saying, well, why have you brought me back then? Why am I sat in the reserves? Why am I sat in the reserves when my colleague Joe Pigott can't score for fun?
Do you think it's a
would you not?
punishment?
Would you not be, if you was Tyree Simpson? Would you not have that argument? Would you not be knocking on McKenna's door, being like, "Well, I'm scoring goals, mate. Pigott ain't."
Do you think it's a punishment, Tux, for not starting the deal? Do you think they brought him back as a way of saying, we're in charge here?
It's petty, though, isn't it? It's childish. It's petty. That's meant to be an asset. That player's meant to be an asset.
I don't know. I'm asking the question.
He's meant to be. He should be. He should be treated as an asset to this club, really, because he's a young asset. You want to protect your young assets. If Idris El Mazouni can get a new contract, he's done fuck all. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So why can't someone like Tyree Simpson be treated in the same kind of way, where he's getting a chance on the bench at the very least, to then potentially come on, score a goal, whatever he will do. But yeah, I mean, arguably he might be a start on the bench, come on, not really offer a lot at all between now and the end of the season. But again, that's still unfair on him, because I think he's been kind of led to believe that he was going to spend the season at Swindon for his development, come back in the new season, and then go again, because he's had that experience. But you've halted that by bringing him back, and you've also played with his future a little bit, as is to say, okay, what are you doing with it? Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think it's been poorly handled.
Okay,
really poorly handled.
Something Paul Cook said in the summer, George, was you've seen over the course of the last couple of years of this football club that young players have been brought into the team long before they were ready for. Mm-hmm. Stephen Parry says here, sounds like desperation to me, putting this much pressure on a young lad, and then alludes to the fact we were told youth got brought in too soon. Look, League Two is not hard. Look at Drinnan. Great point, Stephen Parry. Look at Drinnan.
Bossing it.
Do with him right now, don't we?
Bossing it.
Yeah. But is that something to look at, George, and say, actually, do you know what? I watched a year of Drinnan. I knew he wasn't that great. League Two can't be that hard. I could probably score in that league.
No, I told you when he left us that he'd score goals given a right opportunity. I don't think it was just because he went down to League Two. And anyway, you know how little stock I put in anything Paul Cook says about anything football related, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Fair enough.
I'll just further that point as well. League One is a very tough league, right? You get centre backs that will kick the shit out of you, right? Yep. If he goes and plays in La Liga or the Premier League, he'd absolutely walk it.
Yeah.
He would, wouldn't he? He would. I know you want to say yes, Martin, you do. You just know. If he was on the bench, if he played for Watford or a Crystal Palace, he'd come on and score better.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but they would, the next big thing. Absolutely. I mean, I every time I've seen him play, I have been impressed. I will be honest. That said, I didn't see much of his loan spell out at Swindon, so I can't speak for that. I can speak for what the Swindon fans told me, and they were thoroughly impressed. They were desperate for him not, because we did a piece for the show before the window started where we were saying, the case for bringing him back and the case for not bringing him back. And we had a Swindon fan on who made the case for not bringing him back. It was game time development. He was doing really well. We love him, and all this sort of stuff. That said, all we know, or all we think we know, is about the contract situation. Is it a case of actually, do you know what, we're looking at this the wrong way? Yes, he may not want to sign a new deal, but he's still being paid by the club today, tomorrow, and next week. So while he's go on, George.
Do we know what this, like, genuinely? Do we know 100%? Any of us know what the situation is, whether it's on the club's end or on the players' end, and it doesn't matter unless we do know, and we can form an opinion. It doesn't matter what we all think, right? Just as far as we're concerned, he is, as you say, he is an asset to this football club. He's been in, yes, the league below, but he's been out and done exactly what you send players out on loan to do, which is prove that they can play football and get better at playing grown-up football. Mm-hmm. So why not chuck him in? Like, we can speculate on why we might have brought him back, but we have to assume that we brought him back so that he'd get a chance in the first team, because that's the only thing that we can realistically assume might be going on, really.
I'm not being funny, right? But if Norwood can come back in the team, Jackson can come back in the team, then I don't understand why Tyree Simpson can't go back in the team, because he's not done anything wrong. He's not been out of form, has he? When he's gone out on loan, he just was given his chance. And the next logical step would for him to go out on loan, get experience at a lower level. he's done more than what he was expected by scoring goals. More than just one or two. He scored a lot of goals at that level. Been a key player for Swindon as well, and seemingly come back, not got a look in at all. And I'd get that because you got Jackson playing well. Norwood, when he scored, he was playing well. So I get that. You don't walk straight into the team. However, he does deserve a place on the bench ahead of a Joe Pigott for me.
Lewis O'Connor, Chelsea will poach Simpson for 500,000. Everyone will be calling him the next Lukaku. Heard it here first. But will he get more touches than Lukaku, George? That's the real question. In fact, I think I've had more touches than Lukaku has in the Chelsea shirt in the last couple of weeks. Every single time I read an Athletic article about Chelsea and Lukaku, it's about how many touches he hasn't had. Like he's had 4 touches this week, 4 touches last week, 6 touches. So it's crazy. All that money for the riches in football. If you're both suggesting you want to see him in and around the team, before I bring some people in, obviously the link has been dropped into the chat. If you do want to come on and have your say, it's your chance to. Oh, by the way, next 11, I want your points predictions in the chat, and I'll run through why when we come to that a little bit later on. But let me know what you think the 11-point prediction will be, or 11-game prediction. Who do you want up front then, fellas? Who's the front 3 for you? I've labelled the show about, we need a striker. Yesterday was a goal. Can we please score goals? We can't score goals. So who is your front 1, 2, 3, 4? What is it, Tux?
Well, I think it's got to be dependent on where those 3 are playing. And obviously McKenna likes to play a certain 3 to match the style of the team, play, formation, whatever it may be. But I mean, for me, I've said a lot that I feel like James Norwood is our best striker at the club. I feel like he's the best finisher at the club. I feel like he offers the most for us. I've been one of Caden Jackson's biggest critics since he's been at the club. But since McKenna's come in and played him, he's been, unrecognisable for me, to be honest. So there's certain choices you could make, but I mean, for me, if you're looking at a front 3 that all work together and play well together, I think Norwood's got to be the kingpin of that for me. And then you've got either one of them playing alongside him, or the 2 again, 2 alongside him. But
who have you got?
Someone sitting in the hole. But I think I don't know. I mean, I'd probably potentially look at maybe either a Jackson alongside a Norwood, or a Chaplin alongside a Norwood, or something like that. And then behind that, I probably would have an Aluko there. Okay,
so more things change, the more they stay the same in your world. A Jackson and Norwood up the top. 19 new signings, multi-million pounds investment. But Jack, I like it. I'm not. I mean,
I don't see what anyone else is really giving us at the moment. I think for me, Aluko, when he doesn't play, I feel like we miss him. I like Selena, but he's just so inconsistent. It's unreal. Aluko, I feel like when he plays, he performs. He's a different type of player to anyone that I've seen recently in a Town shirt. He holds the ball up well. He brings players into the game. I think that position behind the 2 strikers suits him quite nicely, actually. I think he's better there than he is out on the wing. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it on form and what 3 could work well together, I do like that. I mean, for me as well, I can completely contradict myself a little bit, but I feel like Chaplin's a starter for us. I think he's a great little player. So I think I probably would be looking at maybe, between now and the end of the season, I'd probably be looking at maybe like a Norwood, a Jackson, and a Aluko just in behind potentially.
Before I let George come in on his 3, Aluko, 23 games played, 3 goals, 0 assists, big chances created, 0 according to SofaScore's stats here. Is he flattering to deceive you because of how well he just simply keeps the ball tucks?
Well, those stats are absolute bollocks, weren't they? Because I remember he created a chance against Gillingham. When
hey, don't shoot me. I'm just passing information on.
That is horseshit because
in my opinion,
that pass was unreal. to ever. I can't remember.
You see, but that doesn't count because it wasn't a pass into Penny and then Penny into another player. So
yeah, but
technically,
it's a chance created, though, isn't it?
Well, no, it technically goes down to somebody else, doesn't it, in this stat world? Because obviously it's just the pass. No, but it does. It's just the pass, isn't it? No,
but that's why it's nonsense, though, isn't it? Because without
I'm
Luco,
with you, yeah.
Then it, and I agree with Tux almost entirely. But the 3 is so difficult to nail down. And I think I said this last time I was on. And that's the great thing, and that's kind of why I like the fact that McKenna's mixing it up, and I'm sure is why he's doing it, because he's spoiled for choice, because it entirely depends on the system he wants to play, the team that he's playing against, and whether he needs pace. Because those 4 guys should all be able to score goals,
but they're not.
That's literally the one thing that they should be able to do. But they're not. That's the thing that they need to sort out at the moment. That should be the least of their worries, because Jackson's got all the pace. Norwood can hold the ball up. Joe Pigott can play football too.
How kind of you to say so.
But what's the consistency?
Any of them should be able to play.
I'd be sitting there saying to McKenna, I get why he does it, but what I would be saying is that every successful team, in my opinion, is based on the spine of a side, right? So if you've got the defense performing well, you've got the goalkeeper performing well, you've got Morsey in front of him and players like that, then you have to sort out what's in front of them as well. So they need to be mainstays as well. But none of them are. And because they're not scoring, fine. But they're not really getting a consistent chance to then, because they're all still new players. They're trying to work out what they're doing with each other. I know they spend day in, day out on the training field, but on a match day, they still need to know what's going on with each other. And there's not enough consistency there for me. So I must admit, I'm a little bit frustrated by McKenna's kind of like chopping and changing. You don't know who's going to be starting.
That's the only negative thing from their perspective, I guess, is that if like Jackson plays a worldie, gets scores a goal, gets 2 assists, and then drops to the bench, even if it's part of the tactics, that's the one constructive piece of feedback for that tactic, I guess, is that you've then got to be willing to take it on the chin as the manager who's taking the guy that's in form off to suit your system. You better be damn sure the person that comes in can score a goal.
Well, yeah, exactly. And like, call me old-fashioned, but if you're playing well, you score goals. For me, you keep the shirt. It doesn't matter what system you're playing, because you're a man on form. You're the one who's getting the goals. It's like Bonn at the start of the season. He had that shirt for a reason, because he was scoring goals and he was affecting the play. He's not doing that now because, 1, he's not playing, but 2, when he does play, he's not consistent enough.
I don't think that's going to be McKenna's approach, though, is it? I think that's the one that's what he's made pretty clear. Although saying that, if in the summer he gets in a front 4 or can turn 4 of the guys that we've got into something that he thinks can consistently chop and change amongst themselves, then that would, like the defense do. Yeah. Then who knows? And I'd like to see that team, because as Amy said earlier, that then that's when we start tearing leagues apart.
Yeah. Who's your front 3 then, George? Before bringing the Fisherman,
I honestly didn't come up with a 3 for that exact reason. Is that I don't think it's I don't think Tux is too far off, particularly on form at the moment. It's hard to drop Jackson out. I really like Aluko. I really like Chaplin as well. So yeah, it's really, really tricky.
Okay. Norman Greenwood, Man City, Liverpool rotate, and they play at a far higher level when arguably it's harder to score. Mike Dale, we had one of our best games under McKenna away at Gillingham, playing with 2 up top and 1 behind. I don't get why he's not played it since. He does also suggest Cameron Burgess up top, launch it to the big man, gobble up the knockdowns, #old school. Why not? Why not? Tim Moldiester Morden, from Simpson's perspective, agent or otherwise. He's in a no-lose situation money-wise. His stock has increased since Swindon goals. Either way, he gets a good contract with us or another club. The difference is that all the risk is on us as a club. We give him, say, example, a 3K contract, and he just doesn't get to the level he needs to be. He needs to prove himself here to deserve a contract, but you can't prove yourself unless you get the opportunity. I guess the 2 lads in front of me would suggest. Craig at Portsmouth, we can't pick a guy who hardly scored or assist. It's why so many Reading fans wanted Aluko to go. 2020 poll, Berkshire Live, 93% didn't want him. Fisherman, how are you?
I'm downstairs tonight. Normally sat up in my bed, but yeah, I'm downstairs tonight, chilling.
We've missed you. We've missed you. Talk to us then. We can't score goals. What do we do? How do we buy a goal?
Well, you don't play Norwood left, do you, over 3? That's one thing you don't do. And you don't play 3 up front in this league. It just don't work. I agree with Hawks. I agree with George. You've got to play 2 up front, 1 behind. You get more creativity. You know, Norwood plays best when he's on the last defender, giving defenders grief. You know, that nasty little nick. It's what you need to get out of this league. A little bit nasty, a little bit of oomph, a little bit of, skullduggery, shall we say, from players like Norwood.
The dark arts, as McCarthy used to say.
Well, you've got to do that. And look, I'm a great fan of McKenna. I love him. I think he's a great manager, but I like what he's done, and there is progress under him. But I'm kind of getting bored of hearing, "Oh, well, the start killed us." Well, the finish ain't helping either, is it? Do you know what I mean?
Fair point.
Fair point. You've got players like Jackson, who I've been like Hawks. I've been massive critical of Jackson, and yet he's dropped. And then I get, he's played a lot of games. Well, so have the back 3. They played every game. And look how consistently good we've been at the back. Many clean sheets, got good goalie, good back 3. Yeah. I don't understand this 3-4-3 formation. I just don't get it. Just stop messing around too much. Keep more settled side. If Jackson is playing well, he keeps a shirt. You don't play Norwood out of position. You play him in his more natural position. We've started going forward with McKenna's, and I kind of feel we're just kind of a little bit levelled out here. I'm a little bit frustrated with him. I'm with Hawks now. I'm frustrated with McKenna. Just look at the league. Look at the way the players play. Look at our strengths. Play to our strengths, not to other teams' weaknesses.
Fair point. Talking of good goalkeepers, first of all, I didn't think I'd be quoting Mick McCarthy in 2022, but here we are. Second of all, good goalkeepers. You mentioned good goalkeepers there, Mike. It's Aaron Lee Barrett's 38th birthday today. What a keeper he was. Happy birthday to the GOAT of the GOATs.
Welsh international, wasn't he?
Oh, he was just him and Bart, the Mount Rushmore of goalkeepers in Ipswich Town Football Club. Tux, Norwood, inside left. Mike's got a point, hasn't he? It's not James Norwood's position inside left of the 3.
No, it isn't. He simply shouldn't be playing in that position. He should be playing at the kingpin role of like holding the ball up, letting people come into play. And I get that like McKenna's got a way of playing. He wants to play that way, and that's absolutely fine. And I'm sure, we'll see more of that in the new season when he has his own players that he wants to play that way potentially. But he can only sort of play the players that he's got, I suppose. But there's nothing wrong with the players we've got. It's how they are played in the right position. And we've seen so many times over the years where players have been, square pegs in round holes and it's not worked. And, if we adopt that again, if we do the Paul Lambert stuff or the Mick McCarthy stuff, then we're not going to get anywhere. So I feel like I feel like Norwood is one of our best players, if I'm honest, but we need to challenge him in the right way so we get the best out of him. It's like any player that you play. So, he needs to be up at the top, in the centre, where he can do his best work.
It's if you do that, then George, and is it a round peg in a square hole or a square peg in a round hole? Who goes there? Because he wants to play with that inside right and left, inside right strikers. So how do you do it? How does he get around that? Because Norwood isn't an inside left, as Tux so rightly says.
No, well, I mean, I think that's why he's chopping and changing, right? I think he's trying to find players to fit into the style that he wants to play in, and I don't think what we're seeing is that we may not have them at the moment, and I don't think that's going to change. At this point, does he forego his footballing, his and Martin Pert's footballing philosophy, which he clearly has one, to suit the players that we have to try and muscle our way into the playoffs? And if that goes wrong, what happens? I'm kind of for him just cracking on with what he's doing. I honestly have no issue with the style that he's playing at the moment or the players that he's playing particularly. But
how's it working out? We should be beating Cheltenham. We should be beating Morecambe.
We absolutely should have. We absolutely should have done. But that's not because we didn't have the chances to beat. I didn't see Morecambe, but I saw the weekend, and we should have beat those guys 3 and 4, and that's.
But we didn't.
No, we didn't. But that's because of our finishing, not because of the style. We played them off of the park, Mike. The first 45 minutes.
This is what. Yeah, but we had all this with Lambert, right? We had all this with Lambert. We had all this
never
possession.
Played like that when we.
Listen, no, I'm talking about. I'm talking about. I'm not.
Let him speak. Let a man speak. Let a man speak about Lambert.
Hang on, right? We had all this with Lambert with possession football. Yeah, right. We had all the possession and we weren't winning games. Yeah, and the reality is, we had like 73% possession in this game, in the weekend game, and we went away with a 1-1. They should never have scored.
Most weeks deriding possession stats and all of the stats, right? You like, and I'm all for you using them when they suit you. That's fine, but that means Martin can too. But 78 possession, I could stand in the corner of a football pitch for 80 minutes and get 78% possession, or you can play football like we played on Saturday and get 78% possession. They're not the same.
Let me just the same result.
You can't use it as you can't use that as
it's the same result though, isn't it? The result. Look, it's a results-based business. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah? And no disrespect, but if we're not scoring enough goals, there's a problem.
Did you see us
people say that the start killed us. Not. I understand that. I understand the start killed us, but. We can see that 3 up front ain't working. It doesn't work unless you've got the players to fit that. Unless you've got Liverpool front 3, or Man United, or Man United front 3, Chelsea front 3. That's never gonna work in League One.
No. The thing is, though, Mike, was Saturday actually just, not a game that you can take a lot of from, because Trevor Carson, the Morecambe goalkeeper, is in the team of the week. That says its own story. When you look at SofaScore, and I know we're, you sometimes, not the best friend of stats, but look at that attacking momentum graph or timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, you've got nothing on the top, which is Morecambe, except the chance they got to score. Mm-hmm. And then underneath, it's one-way traffic. Tux.
Yeah, but I do agree with what Mike's saying, though. You do have to take your chances. It doesn't matter what you're doing on the pitch. Like, you could sit there and watch, a boring 0-0 and play absolutely fantastically, but that's not what football's all about. Like, Mike is completely right. This is a results business. So McKenna could play wonderful football and draw 0-0 every game, but he ain't going to get promotion out of that. He's not going to be in a job for that, is he?
No.
So, that's where it comes down to it. It comes to, you get judged as a manager, as a football club, on the results that you produce. In recent years we've been judged very poorly because we don't have we didn't have those players. We couldn't get wins. Hence why we're in League One.
But we're saying that 27 points out of 12 games isn't enough.
Well, it's not enough, is it?
It's not enough. Factually, we can talk about opinions. I get your opinion, George. I get that. I get your opinion.
But how many points do you want him to have got out of 12 games?
Jesus, well, quite frankly, what I didn't expect was a draw against low league Cheltenham, which I still can't believe we're sitting here talking about. People fans are like, oh well, it was Cheltenham. They did well, and it's Cheltenham. Yeah, quite frankly, the only thing I know about Cheltenham is horse racing.
Well, yeah. And they're good at defending.
And then you've got bloody Morecambe. I mean, no disrespect, but they were non-league sides and they've come through the ranks and deserve to be in League One. I get that.
We should be beating them.
We are in League One playing these teams, and we should be getting 6 points in games.
Yeah. Mike, before I let you go, so we can bring somebody else on, because see Louis there waiting to come on. I take your point, and I think a lot of what you say can be true for some people. But perhaps not me. I'm trying to put that diplomatically. I hope it was put.
That's fine. It's all about opinions.
I know. But after midweek, I'm trying to fucking balance it here. March, we've got Fleetwood, Lincoln, Portsmouth, Oxford, and Plymouth. I can tell you which ones are home and away if you need to. What do you think our point return is going to be? Not what it should be, or what it needs to be. What do you think it's going to be from March? You've got Fleetwood, Lincoln, Portsmouth, Oxford, Plymouth.
Do you know what? My heart wants win every game. My head tells me we're only going to get 4 points out of them games.
Wow. Okay. What is your opinion?
Because,
like
but the
it.
reason being is unless we revert back to the 3-5-2, which was doing us so well, and we persist with this 4-3-3, goals are going to be a problem.
Okay, 4 points.
Yeah,
Fleetwood, Lincoln, Portsmouth, Oxford, Plymouth.
yeah, 4 points.
Okay, all right.
If
Perfect.
I'm wrong, I'll happily come on here and say, "Wow, how good were we?" But I just can't. You know, I've always sitting there saying, "Oh, look, I went with." I think every fan thought we were going to beat Cheltenham, and I went with 3-0. Other fans went with 3-0. Some went a bit erratic, 6-0 and 7-0. And then the same with Morecambe. I thought we'd go up there and win 2-0, something like that. But the reality is, we had 2 points at kickoff, and now we've still got 2 points that we started off on both games. And the reality is, right now we're 5 points off the playoffs. The other teams have got so many games in hand, and quite frankly, we're going to be in League One again next season, boys, and hopefully challenging for the top next season, not like this season.
Okay, Mike, as always, we appreciate you.
Thanks,
Look
guys.
after yourself.
Appreciate it.
Play well. George, March, 4 points from Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, can you hear me, mate? Because I'm having some internet issues.
We can hear you. I can come back to you if you need me to. I can go to Tux first if you want me to.
Yeah, give me 2 minutes.
Okay, not a problem. You are a bit laggy on my end, but we can hear you. Tux, March, Fleetwood, Lincoln, Portsmouth, Oxford, Plymouth. Mike says 4. Please tell me that ain't so. Say it ain't so, Tux.
No, I don't. I'm not quite as negative as that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think like obviously with the Morecambe and Cheltenham, they are smaller teams in this league, and we will come up against those kind of teams in the run-in, I suppose. But you know, they come to us and they want to play us, don't they? In terms of like, you know, they either sit back, and that is mostly what they do. They sit back and let us play, and hence why we can't ever get through that kind of defensive unit, I suppose. But what we are seeming to sort of play now are teams that will attack us, that have got something to play for at the top end of the table. So that might suit us better.
Yeah, true.
So I'm hoping that's going to be the case. But then you've got the other alternative of that, you know, they're better attacking, like a Portsmouth or someone like that, Wigan, that are coming up. So
Oxford,
you know, obviously our defensive record might not be as good. So I don't know. I think in answer to your question, I think, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't really like to say points wise, but I think I do feel sort of positive going into it. I do feel like we'll lose a couple between now and the end of the season, but we can only do what we can do. We can't worry about what everyone else is doing above us, whether they've got games in hand, whether they've got points, whatever, or seemingly the people below us. We can't do anything about that. We are in control of our own destiny. We can only do what we can do. So it doesn't matter what they do on Saturday, these other teams. If we don't win, it doesn't actually matter what really does it. So, you know, we have to do what we can do. And that's why, sort of go back to my earlier point of consistency. You know, players need to know their roles. Players need to know what they're doing. And, you know, George is right. McKenna is not that type of manager that is probably going to do that until at least maybe next season when he's got those sort of players coming in and he maybe trusts them more. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, mate. I think I want to be positive, and
you said like 8 points in your prediction.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't differ from that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to let people know, you've gone. This was done at the 20-game mark, you understand, but you've gone Fleetwood with the draw, Lincoln, Portsmouth both wins, Oxford with the defeat, Plymouth with the draw. So, I mean, in a normal season, a normal month, you'd probably be looking at that and saying, fairly good. I've got wide ranging from 8 to 10 to 13 in the chat. I've gone for 13. I'm going to be brutally honest. I think we're going to beat Fleetwood, beat Lincoln, beat Portsmouth, beat Plymouth, and draw with Oxford. Really, this is somebody who gets the fixture list at the start of the year and literally ticks off how we're going to be promoted before Christmas. So, me and predictions don't necessarily.
Well, as I say, I feel like, at this stage of the season now, I think I had down as Fleetwood to draw. I think we probably would beat them potentially, but then I feel like sides like Rotherham, you're going away to Rotherham is a hard place to go. They're going to be battling away, and they want promotion at the end of the day. So I feel like they're going to be a tough one to. I feel like we'll lose them. Coming here. So I just feel like they're a team on form.
Yeah.
And I feel like Oxford are a good side as well. They're a side that kind of like, I know like every club can beat anyone.
They've found a bit of form recently, haven't they?
Yeah. So
at the wrong time. Yeah. Bastards. Well, it's true, George. I'm a Town fan, not an Oxford one. But don't forget, they do sell out the car park. Or was that Wickham? Probably Wickham. George, March, Fleetwood, Lincoln, Portsmouth, Oxford, Plymouth. I've gone 13. Mark's gone 4. Tuxford's gone 8. I'll get Louis in a second. What does the designer think?
I said 9.
9. So where are we getting those 9?
2 wins and 3 draws.
2 wins and 4. Yeah, that's typical. That's typical Town. Typical Town. Because you at the end of the season,
that is also my worry, by the way. Typical Town, because we will, we've had some good results lately, and then we do, a Cheltenham or a Morecambe. Do you know what I mean? I know we didn't lose the games, but it's that kind of form for me. I don't trust us to go on a bit of a run, to be honest.
People our age won't, Tux. People our age won't. The last time we saw a decent team was when Bam was sticking it in the back of the net for 2-1 at Wembley.
Yeah.
Let's be brutally honest. That's the last time we saw a team come back from in a big game and win it. Don't forget, these days, if Craig Ignett would struck that ball in the back of the net and we go a goal down with our own goal, George, we're all going to be crying right after those capitulating.
I'm going to come back just because I made a mistake as much as anything. 24 points in 12 games. But are we really like panicking based on 2-1 draws? I totally get we should have won and we should be winning games like that, blah, blah, blah. But we haven't been typical Town. And if 2 draws is our blip in our running, I'll take it all day long.
Yeah, but who are you not beating then? That's when I'll tell you what I think of that, what you've just said there.
What do you mean?
Well, who are your draws against in this month of March?
Pompey, Oxford and Plymouth.
I can't really argue with any of those. They're all Pompey are bloody resurgent. Yeah. But if you're going to be in the conversation, you've got to be, particularly on your own patch, Portsmouth and Plymouth. At the very least, you should be saying 9 points, 3 wins from the home games. Lincoln, Portsmouth, and Plymouth.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
But if you want to be in the conversation of the playoffs, George, you've got to. You at this point in the season.
I think my prediction over that. I mean, it gets more positive as it goes along. But it basically.
What a sentence.
But I think it's like my prediction for the last 11 would get us there or thereabouts, depending on results around us. Which we can't look. Tux is absolutely right. We can't look to the teams around us, and we can't worry about what they're doing. But what they're doing is going to ultimately impact us because we are so far behind. We need at this point at least 3 of them to have a pretty crappy run in, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility, as well as us having a very good run in. But I honestly think there's a little bit too much. Not from us necessarily, but from what I've seen over the last few days, just a little. There might be a little bit.
I do agree with that. I must admit, I do agree that people getting out their tree a little bit on, whether it be the draws at lower league opposition. It's not killing our season, but it's a stumbling block, put it like that. But it's not killing our season just yet. We still have, there's still a chance to get into the playoffs. And it's not like a mathematically possible one. It's it's a good chance we could still get in there. So we're
trying to resurrect our season, right? We were the fallen guy with a sword in his back, and now we're going to be we're going to crawl to the line one way or another, points wise. Yeah. If we get there, then it's going to be by the skin of our teeth. And it might be that we're on tremendous form. We'll probably have to be on tremendous form if we do get there. But points-wise, it will be by the skin of our teeth. If we can get there and play the last 11 games on the kind of form that we need to show, then who knows what happens in the playoffs? It's anyone's game. But
the thing is, it's a league where anyone can beat anyone, and we are getting to that stage of the season now where you know, if you're a Gillingham, you could go win games now because you've got something to play for. You want to stay up and stuff like that. But then equally, if you're, you know, a Sunderland and you're trying to maintain that sort of playoff push or something like that, then you've got to start winning games, and they've faltered. So, you know, it's such a tough league, and you can't sit there and pick any of those games and be like, I don't know, it's probably a guaranteed 3 points there, isn't it? Like, you can't say that about any of them. So that's a worry, I think. Whereas I think in like sort of previous years, whether it be in the Championship or League One, you probably sit there comfortably and say, yeah, could probably get 3 points from there. So
this is great chat, boys. Really, really engrossing chat. Love it. Absolutely love it. I could literally listen to you two talk about, are we going to make the playoffs? Will we crawl into the finish line or not? Well, honestly, it's great stuff. Time is ticking on. 1 hour and 5 minutes has already flown by. Let's get Louis on to get his view, and then we'll go to the points. Louis, obviously, we spoke at the weekend. You've had time to reflect on it now. You've heard the two lads here just literally chewing the fat, and great debate. How are you feeling about it now?
Yeah, it was obviously not the result we wanted, but I think if it was me, I think we're going to get around 9 to 11 points maybe in March, I reckon. 9 to 11
points in March,
I think what you said, Gov, if we win the 3 home games, I'll take it, I think. Because I think that's the crucial bit now.
Yeah, and our away form hasn't been the best, and wasn't going to touch on that tonight. Perhaps we'll move that to Wednesday's show because of time issues. But if you business end of the season, you've got to turn Portman Road into a bit of a fortress, haven't you, Louis? As you go into this running,
you just got to make teams just fear coming to play at Portman Road, because for some of them it's like playing a cup final, and we've got to start showing ourselves that we need to be the team to beat pretty much in these home games. But we've also got to try and win some away games as well. We can't just keep winning the rest of our home games and just not winning the away games, though, because we've got to at least get some draws and maybe even a few wins from now to the end of the season. And that probably includes going to places potentially like Rotherham and picking up a result.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough Easter weekend, though. We're going to Rotherham. That's obviously the Easter weekend. We don't get too far ahead of ourselves, but we've got those on the horizon. Does that make reactions such as the one we've seen tonight, even from Mike Brown, do you justify that then? Because you're playing a Morecambe, you haven't got 3 points, and yet you've still got your Oxford, your Plymouths, and then the even more tougher task with the Easter weekend of Wigan and Rotherham. So does it justify a little bit of what Mike was talking about, in your opinion?
Yeah, it probably does. But the problem is that with Morecambe is we just had a problem for some reason scoring goals. And if we'd have played someone potentially like Oxford or Rotherham or maybe even Wigan, we could have probably got punished potentially, because they probably would have got forward more. And that's the thing. It's like, that seems to be our issue at the moment, doesn't it? And it's it's these sort of games, isn't it, that's going to cost us, like drawing to teams like Morecambe, Cheltenham, and just some of the games we had at the start of the season potentially. So
who would your front three be then, Louis? How would you attack it?
I think for me it's got to be Selena now as the number 10. For me, he is the best number 10 at the club, I think, without a doubt. He's probably our best attacking player. And if I was to pick the strikers, do you know what? I think it's about time we give Piggott a run of games now. I think we need to give him. I think we should give him the next 5 games and see what he can do. And I think if it was me, I would play Jackson, I think, at the moment alongside him.
Giving Piggott a run of games the next 5, says Louis George. What do you think of that one, as Joe Piggott's Fan Appreciation Society chairman?
I don't think anyone's going to get a run of games up front like that, unfortunately. And I wouldn't necessarily give it to Joe. I think.
Joe?
No, I think he. I don't know. Of course he could come good. Of course he could score goals like he did last season. Not much that I've seen suggests that he's going to. He might get a couple before the end of the season, and that would be great. But I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to get a run of games. I just don't think that's how it's going to work between now and the end of the season for anyone up in those front sort of 4 positions. You've
got to take those opportunities, haven't you? Really, Tux, when they come, and for a striker, necessarily that isn't always as daft as it might sound, is scoring goals, because tactically they may want you to do. I think MK Dons is a prime example. Was Caden Jackson? Yes, a goal would have been an icing on the cake, but really tactically he was asked to do something else, which is why he was selected. But for Joe, any way, by hook or by crook, he needs that goal, doesn't he?
Well, I know he come quite close. I can't think who it was against now. But he hit the post recently.
That was last week.
But yeah, so he's getting closer. But I mean, ultimately, when you've got something to play for, still, I'd want my best players on the pitch. I'd want my best attacking threats on the pitch, and for me, Joe Pickett isn't that currently at the moment. I feel like maybe Paul Cook didn't give him his chance. He didn't really play him, and maybe that's affected his sort of early spell at the club. But you can't really say he's not really been given a chance now. He has been given chances. He's had opportunities to score. He's not taking them. Other people have. And I just feel the next logical step is for someone else to get their chance, like Tyree Simpson, to come in off the bench, like Joe Pickett has been playing that kind of role. And I feel like he'll give us something different. So you've got to be fair to these players. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be fair to a Simpson. You've got to be fair to, even Caden Jackson. If you're going to bring him back in, you've got to bring someone like a Simpson back who could be like a new signing for us, really.
Yeah, spot on. Louis, as always, appreciate your viewpoint. So remind me, March again, you were going to go with how many points?
I'll go with 10 points, I think.
Yeah. Perfect. Louis, look after yourself. Cheers, man. Thanks ever so much. We've got Mike D. Pickett scores 24 goals, like Cruncher said. I reckon we'll make the playoffs. Lee Brown, it was never going to be easy last Saturday and Tuesday. These teams are fighting to stay up and be the same on Saturday. Simon Harris, decent opposition. Teams won't be worrying about playing us, especially with no end product. Mike Fisherman, stealing near the tap for start is why P shouldn't start. Huh? What? Make it make sense, George. What? What's he said?
I don't really understand that.
So, Mike, right, let me know what you're saying there again. Lee, look at Stockton on Saturday. He was crap. Fair point. All right, so chances of making the playoffs and promotion. I said at the top of the show. We have got a 4% chance of finishing in sixth and a 1.5% chance of promotion. Based on the points that you both think we're going to get, let's discuss what that change is like according to the website. sportsclubstats.com. Tux, first of all, we'll go with yourself. With what's left of your 20-game prediction, you've got 19 points you think we're going to get. Draw at Fleetwood, beat Lincoln, beat Portsmouth, defeat to Oxford, draw with Plymouth, beat Cambridge and Shrewsbury, get beat by Rotherham, draw against Wigan, which I think would be a really good Easter weekend, actually. Crewe win, Charlton draw. 19 points, which takes us to 72 points. Do you want to know the percentage chance according to this website?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Well, according to the website, that would give you a playoff chance of 1%. I know. And a promotion chance of 0.03.
Wow.
Yeah. They don't think 72 points is anywhere near enough. And I have to say, I do agree. And listening to how many points you've got there, Tux, do you think 72? If I tell you that's how many points we're finished with, do you think that's going to be a playoff position or not?
Probably not, to be honest. But I mean, well, again, you got to figure out what the other teams are going to be doing around you, I suppose. And I'll be interested to see kind of their run-ins as well, because like I say, no game is an easy game, but you've got to look at like some of the teams that might be really struggling, and then you've got to look at some of the teams that are really kind of trying to get into those playoffs, because they'll be like chomping at the bit. So I think it's based on that, because obviously once you get to a certain stage of the season, if you ain't got anything to play for, then tops off your suntan oil off, aren't they? And then you're on holiday already. So
this is it, isn't it? Yeah, this is it. George, what do you think we're going to get in the last 11 games?
I think mine was 24 points.
24 points, which would give us 77, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
should get us in.
Well, this is it. 77 is a 14.2% chance of promotion. So, not too shabby on the promotion stakes, and a 36% chance of the top 6.
Yeah, so I think I'm just looking at my spreadsheet from ages ago. The last 10 seasons, the average to get into the top 6 is 73.3 points.
Yeah.
So, and then it jumps up to 78.5. So with 6th is what that gives us basically, potentially.
Yeah, if you have 75 points or lower, you're looking at 16% and lower. 76 points gives you 28%, and then it's 35, 38, etc. So it's going to take a big effort, in all honesty, to do it.
It's possible, Martin. It's possible. So, when the points are there to get, it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is. But for example, your guess here, 72 points, Tux. Really, you're about 6 points short. So that means you need to turn Fleetwood, Plymouth, Wigan, or Charlton to any two of those games is into a win. Which,
very true.
When you say it like that, that isn't the worst thing in the world.
No, I feel like there's going to be some results that we get that I feel might be a surprise. Obviously, I'd be pleasantly surprised if we get a result at Rotherham. I think that's arguably probably our toughest one, I'd say.
Rotherham and Wigan.
Yeah.
Big time. Easter weekend is just, I'm glad. Well, in a way, I'm pleased I'm not, because.
But then you've got 2 games over that period, haven't you? So
Friday and the Monday.
Yeah, so you've got that kind of maybe a bit of tiredness in there, especially if it won't happen to us because we chop and change. But other teams, if they're playing the same sort of side with the travel and stuff like that, potentially, I don't know what their fixtures are, but again, by that stage, would have Wigan, what would they be doing? Will they take the foot off the gas? Who knows? But they've just been beaten 3-0 by Sunderland, and they've been absolutely terrible recently, Sunderland. So.
We'll know by then as well. We'll know by Easter weekend whether we've got a shot.
Yeah.
That's with Rotherham comes with 4 games left, right?
Yeah.
Right. If we'll know by Easter weekend, so how those 2 results go could really be.
We can only do what we can do. We can only try and win games and put the performances in there. And quite honestly, you don't have to put a great performance in. As long as you win the bloody game, then that's really about it. Just get the points.
Well, and out of 11 games, you've got, I think, from a quick look, you've got 4 teams that are above you. So you're going to have to get probably 1 win and 3 draws out of those 4, and then go and beat the rest. In my opinion,
well, realistically, there is no room for failure now for me.
No. You've used it up already.
Yeah. So I see a lot on Twitter that it's must win against Morecambe. Oh, it's a must win against this. Blah blah blah. We didn't.
No.
It's not a must win then, is it? Do you know what I mean? Because we're still in the.
It's true.
We're still in the position to get there. It's only a must win if it then becomes potentially impossible.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's still possible. And as I say, I feel like there'll be results that might surprise us pleasantly. There'll be some results I think that surprise us unpleasantly. But that's Ipswich, and as I said earlier. I don't sort of trust us. I know it's a kind of a new team and new club, new philosophy, but it's the Ipswich way, though, isn't it? It's just very much like you go and beat a Wycombe 4-0 and then draw 0-0 against a Morecambe. So, I don't know.
It's true. Mike D, will Rotherham be up at the time we play them? Very possibly. Very possibly. You could always have that hope, I suppose. Chris Boyd, the standard of the top half is much higher this season. We are in basically the same position as both last year and the year before, despite playing so much better. It's a tougher league.
Yeah.
Stephen Parry, but we still will not be in the playoffs with teams game in hands till the Wednesday, and Bolton losses really killed it. Greg, if we make the playoffs without winning 3 in a row all season, will we be the first team to do so? Would we be the first team to do so? I wonder. Possibly. George, I do like how you got yours, George. You got wins at Fleetwood, Lincoln, Cambridge, Shrewsbury, Crewe, Charlton, draws against Portsmouth, Oxford and Plymouth, and defeat against Rotherham. But you've got us beating Wigan.
Mm-hmm.
You're not fazed by Wigan then?
Not at home. Not with 3 games to go. I think if we're in a realistic position where we can make the playoffs when we get to Rotherham, I think all bets are off in terms of what the results are. So I've gone heavy in our favour there. I think we'll lose to Rotherham. I think they're too good for us at the moment. Yeah. And who knows what might happen, but based on obviously where they're at and what we've seen of them this season, I think they're probably literally the one in all of those that I've got turning us over. But yeah, I think by then, if we've got a realistic chance, I think Wigan at home with 3 games left and 2 home games left. You talk about the atmosphere and things at Portman Road. If we've got a chance, then if the club play it right and can fill the ground again, then I'm not fazed by Wigan at home with 3 games to go.
No. And your running certainly, puts us in that with wins at Fleetwood, Lincoln. Well, basically, we're unbeaten with only the 3 draws being Portsmouth, Oxford, and Plymouth, which I think is really good. If you can convert one of those draws into a win, you're in a really strong, commanding position. I think McKenna, though, as we sort of, bring the conversation around into its arc, I think he gets it, though, in the sense of midweek he's putting on he's a striker, he's going for it in other games. I think he knows, to his credit, George, that draws don't really accomplish anything. We've got to go for wins here.
Yeah, he's not daft, is he? He knows.
But some managers would be content with that point. It's a point. It keeps us, in touch.
Some of the managers we've had over the last 10 years would have written this season off by now. They'd have started saying things like, it's unlikely. It's, especially after the last 2 games we've had. And that's what makes us as Ipswich fans think that same old Ipswich is a constructive way to approach it. That's not at all. And I think that's McKenna's approach, to be honest with you. I think I'd be very surprised, and as Tuck says, I don't think he'll start talking about it being must win or game over or just about over until it's over.
Yeah,
and he won't. I'd be surprised to hear him say it until he says mathematically we can't do it. So yeah, it's done. But until then, it's not the right message to give to us as fans or to his team. So yeah, of course he's going to go for it, and I think increasingly so, especially potentially after the last two games, which might be why we might see Simpson get chucked in, because he needs someone to get goals from somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you think Morecambe, in reality, Tux are in a false position?
Not necessarily. I feel like, as I said, anyone can beat anyone in this league.
More McCarthy vibes.
It is though, isn't it?
It is. I'm joking with you. I was pulling my McCarthy out in 2022. You see, false position, much better on paper. But
it is though. It doesn't matter whether you're bottom of the league or top of the league.
Yeah,
you could go and win against anyone in this league on Saturday. So, no, not really. And we can only control what we do, whether that's against a Morecambe, a Rotherham, Wigan, whoever. We are in control.
Okay. Perfect. I was going to bring Colin in, but he's disappeared from the bottom of the row. So we'll bring it round to its climax. I've actually really enjoyed tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to both of you two talk football. Some really well-rounded sounded points, some great contributions from Mike, from Amy, from Louis, from the chat. Really great. We've got Roy Clark. Like McKenna said, someone's going to get a real hiding from us shortly. Now, we're not back again until Wednesday. No show tomorrow. I won't, because we didn't win at the weekend. I'm not going to do a show where we look at the games in hand coming in. I'll just watch it from home. But we're back. I might see the wife. We're back on Wednesday with Curtis and Callie for the match preview of Fleetwood. So thank you for joining. Don't forget you can support us through Ko-Fi or become a YouTube member today, such as Craig at Portsmouth did. Follow his way. He is winning at life. Last word goes to our YouTube member, Mike D. Promoted sides win those last 2 games. He's the designer, George Nunn. Here's the Peaky one, Mark. Mark, do you watch Peaky Blinders?
I do, yes.
Do you like it?
Yes. Unfortunately, it was the highlight of my week, weekend, should I say, because Ipswich drew. So, a bit disappointing.
There we go. So there we go. We've answered that one. It was a question on yesterday's podcast. Does Mark like the old Peaky Blinders?
I love it.
There we go. We've answered it. We're done. We're dusted. With love, with care. Support us. Subscribe to us.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding